right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Joe Reski, and I'll be your host for today. It is our last week of February event. Doesn't matter, it's gone. But we still have one more week of live action coming your way, jam-packed full of events. So if you head to exploringbytheseat.com, you can find a ton of events to register for your classroom, join them live, tune in via YouTube, whatever works best. We just want to see you hanging out with us. We are heading back out into the field because that is our favorite thing to do here. And we are going to be spending a little time connecting with the One America's team. So we have had the pleasure of connecting with them twice a month for quite a bit of time now. And we've been learning all about the amazing expedition as they sail their way around the world, around really the One Americas, one big island, one big ocean. Today, we're catching up with them down in the Patagonia region. If you are new today to these live streams and you haven't caught up with us before, Around the Americas expedition is a 14-month voyage. It started in May. They're circumnavigating North and South America aboard the 48-foot sailboat One Ocean. It's a scientific mission. It's educational. It's community outreach. It's all about raising awareness about our ocean health. And it's all building around a journey back in 2009, 2010, sailing around the Americas. And so now collecting this new data, it can be compared with the baseline data from before to see how the ocean has changed over the last 15 years. So we got a big crew joining us today, but we'll start off down in sunny Patagonia. Let's get them in here with us right now. Hey, everyone, how you doing?
Hi, Joe. Thank you very much for having us again. We're really happy to be here.
It's great to see everybody. It's great to see the sun. I'm going to put a map in here just to give students a little perspective of where we're hanging out right now. But yeah, tell us a little bit about where you are, how you got here.
Hi, everyone. So we're with the Around the Americas expedition. I'm Jennifer Dalton. I've got Captain Mark Schrader here. We've got lead scientist Grace Dalton on board. And of course, our social media and education outreach coordinator, Tess Shornack. And we'll introduce the other guests when they come on board, like when we get to see them. But right now, we have sailed into Port Eden, and we just arrived here maybe an hour and a half ago. So we have been sailing down through the Patagonia region, and it's been incredible. We've, like, with the extreme beauty has also been extreme weather conditions. And right now, believe it or not, we are in the wettest village on earth. And we just sailed down from the driest desert. So Chile has this massive range of incredible conditions here. And so that's where we are right at the moment.
All right, very cool. I'm just pulling out from the map just to give a perspective of the journey thus far. It has been a few nautical miles covered so far.
Yeah, just a few up through the Arctic and all the way. Joe, you have been with us all the way along, up through the Arctic and down through the East Coast, through the Panama Canal, and then all the way down the West Coast of South America. And in the next week or two, we should be going around Cape Horn, where we plan to drop a micro swift buoy for kids. You can find that buoy data on our website, but that will track some data about currents and conditions down off of the Cape Horn. So we're pretty excited. It's really been a fantastic trip.
All right. Well, there's that website up on the screen, oneisland1ocean.com. So head over to the website. You can play around on the map as well. There's pictures and video clips you can find from all along the journey. So very cool map, very cool website. Check that out. So I heard a little rumor today we might be talking about blue careers.
Yeah, pretty big day. We have some guests here today. We have, what we're highlighting, everyone, is really pathways to maybe lead you into the blue industry. And what we mean by that is maybe pathways that you haven't thought about before, and how do you get those steps, and how do you get to those places, from perhaps being a captain or just studying the environment, or maybe if you want to be in shipbuilding or something like that. So we're just highlighting a few people that can talk about what their career paths were and the zigs and zags maybe they took to get there, but just really to help you maybe visualize possibly you might have an interest in getting in the blue pathways industry. So today we have Captain Mark Schrader, who will be talking about his experience. We have Grace Dalton. We have Tess Shornack. Then we have Mike Beamer, who is the department chair for the Marine Technology Center and also one of our main crew, but he's back at the Marine Technology Center right now. We have Quinn Olson, who is the owner of Northwest Rigging and lead rigger. Plus, we have Shelly Brown on board, who is the director for Sailors for the Sea, powered by Oceana. And they're one of our lead sponsors for dropping these micro swift buoys while we're out here underway. And thank you all for joining us. And I know it's going to be a bit of a fly through with everyone because your careers are massive and you probably could talk hours on them, but we're just going to do a quick overview to just share with kids on how to possibly join this industry.
And I just want to add to anybody tuning in with us, use the chat at any time. If you want to put your questions in, the chat is open. Use it at any time. We'll have Q&A at the end as well, but if there's a burning question we need to work in right in real time, don't be shy.
Okay, and one other thing, if I do see the dolphins that were just out here like a little bit ago, I will pan out there for you all to see, okay? Yeah. Why don't we start today with Captain Mark?
Let me pull up the presentation. Okay.
All right, it's loading.
All right, can you see that, Joe?
It's ready.
Perfect. All right, we're going to start with a little
intro into Captain Mark's,
movie.
It originated locally on a dock on a boat in Italy with some friends who were interested in promoting ocean health, and they had an organization, Sailors for the Sea, that they wanted to start, and they asked me to be involved, and I started thinking about how best to energize people to really care about it. And I thought back to when I was a wee small lad in Nebraska, when I was fascinated with something, either on the farm or in school, I would draw a circle around it, and that would focus my attention on it. So early on, those circles were around, roads, trees, anything that I was interested in. So for some reason, I had remembered that, and I thought, we really want to energize people to understand the ocean. They have to concentrate on it. And maybe if we drew a circle around North and South America and then sailed that route and talked about what we're seeing inside that circle and how the ocean relates to everything in the circle, maybe that would draw some attention to really important environmental ocean issues. So that's what we did.
So I'm of the whole group, I'm really the accidental ocean steward. I grew up in Nebraska, as you saw from the video right there, really from the furthest point of water in any place in the continental United States. It's called the point of inaccessibility. So I knew nothing about the ocean until I was 16, when fortuitously my parents moved to California, and I was introduced to the ocean and fell in love with it. I didn't even know it existed. I'd never seen it. I'd never been in it. Didn't know what it was. I'd read about it, but I hadn't really paid any attention. I was going to be a farmer in Nebraska. And I had an opportunity. I was invited to go sailing, and that started the whole thing. And it's been a career of a lot of time on the water, but it was accidental. I had other vocation, a social service worker and some other things, but had the opportunity to spend some time on the ocean. And in 1982, 83, I decided I wanted to see more of it. So I organized a little expedition basically for myself and sailed alone around the world. That led to other things. I wanted to share with as many people as I could find what I'd seen during that amount of time out on the water. You can connect anywhere. It's the connective tissue for all of us. It's keeping all of us alive. And if we don't keep it healthy, we're in deep doo-doo. So everybody can do something. Through programs like this and Sailors for the Sea, we've seen that classrooms, young people in classrooms can change how communities take care of their environment, how they protect the ocean or coastline around them, how they protect the land around them, and rivers and streams that empty into the oceans. We can all make a difference if we decide to do it. So that was my mission for organizing this. We did this trip in 2009-10. Took a lot of data, scientific observations, and so forth and so on with a crew. And we decided we wanted to see what changes had happened 15 years later. So here we are, making those measurements again, seeing what's happening to the ocean and sharing it with as many people. So I'm really talking about a career path that, was accidental but created. I wanted to share something. The people on board with me are, dedicated scientists and observers, and they wanted to make a change. They wanted to help with that. So in the pathways, blue pathways, it involves some out-of-the-box thinking. You can make a difference. I guess that's the message I want to give everybody. If a guy from Nebraska growing up on a farm can do this, we can all make a difference. So I want you to be passionate about that and don't get discouraged. There's a lot to be done.
So hi everyone, I'm Grace. I'm the lead scientist on board. And currently I'm still in the middle of creating my career, I would say. But right now I'm a marine biologist undergrad at the University of Victoria. And I realized pretty early on during my degree that a degree alone, especially for blue industries, isn't enough. You have to have a lot of work experience and go out in the field. And so because I learned this, I started to apply to lots of internships and assistant positions, all within the coastline of BC and Washington. Fortunately, I was able to land a summer role with BC Whales, and that summer-long internship plus also partial remote working post-summer gave me a full season of hands-on marine research experience, all the way from drones to CDDs to imagery. And so it's really important when you are trying to pursue a blue industry, especially if it's more science-based, really trying to get out there, get your hands on some work experience, because that will help make you just one step ahead of the game. Also, sometimes there aren't a lot of opportunities, so you have to kind of build them. You have to put your foot in the door, you have to reach out to people, you have to be pushing connections, things like that. So for example, for this expedition, when it was first proposed, they didn't have a research study yet that I could possibly come and help with. So I reached out to multiple professors at my university, proposed the idea to them about this expedition going around the world and what kind of research they would like to do with that. Through that, we were able to find the kelp research program, which we're currently doing right now in North and South America. And so that one partnership between me and this one professor that created that idea has now turned into a real project with real data that we'll be analyzing for 2 to 3 more years in the future. So it's really important to keep pushing, putting your foot in the door, keeping up with the contacts. You'll get a lot of no's, but you also might get a few yeses, and that's really important. Something else that's really important is just having the skills and kind of the background and the comfortability, especially if you're aiming for, myself, I like field research, so I like to be out on the water. So it's really important to feel that comfortability. My background, I grew up on the water doing a lot of different things, such as kayaking, swimming, and snorkeling. And that's really important for me to just feel comfortable and be able to pursue these opportunities. I know Tess here also has had quite a few skills too that has helped her.
Yes, growing up on the water was definitely my inspiration to join the blue industry as well. I know that Grace and I grew up snorkeling, and once we got a little bit older, both of us, we now have our PADI's license, which is kind of just the next step up. So taking these steps and going further, going deeper maybe, is definitely something for each of you to look for. And comfort and safety and awareness in a marine environments is huge. So getting comfortable in the water, getting comfortable around the water with boats, if you want to work with boats, is absolutely very vital. And then the ability to work long days outdoors. So go outside and you'll get more comfortable with it. Pave your pathway. So I know that Grace and I both are kind of in the middle of our pathways right now. So these are some things that I'm doing to help pave my way into the blue industry. I'm an environmental science undergrad at Western Washington University, and I'm studying a marine emphasis. That's my emphasis there. and I have a minor in Salish Sea Studies. So specifically, I'm studying the seas around Bellingham and Washington. Also, I do encourage all of you to get involved in volunteer work. That really helps with community connections and experience. Sometimes it's hard to find jobs in the blue industry, I found. So both of us, we've worked at our ports, our local marinas, to get close in with boats in the ocean. Once again, just get that experience, build that resume. And extracurriculars are super helpful and will give you really good experience as well. I sail on the WW sailing team. I know that you do for your school as well. And yeah, joining clubs. So there's a lot of marine focused clubs. And then if there's not any clubs that are environmental or marine focused at your school, you can build them. So I highly encourage you, if there are no marine clubs currently, you can set that up. Oh yes, and creativity and science is huge. Right now on the One Ocean sailing expedition, I'm the outreach coordinator and social media manager, so that includes a lot of creativity. So for science, communication is key if you want to create real change. We have to bridge the gap between scientists and regular everyday people. So storytelling, such as photography, video, writing, are huge. So if you have hobbies that include things like this, definitely continue working on those, because you can 100% apply them to the marine industry and any environmental industry that you may be interested in. And then finally, I want to say, if you want to work in the blue industry needs you. We need people that care about the environment, that want to work for it, help it, and create a healthier planet. So with that, I think we're going to go to Mike and Quinn, and they helped build this boat brick by brick. So,
no bricks.
Not bricks.
Didn't put any bricks on it.
No bricks. No bricks. Yes, thank you everyone for joining us. We have a little different perspective. We love the perspective of Blue Pathways for the scientists and for being captains and going around the world and stuff. And so we're a little bit more, the nuts and bolts and providing all sorts of stuff for careers that are around the water and supporting. So Joe's got a couple slides for us here. So this is marine maintenance technology where I work at Skagit Valley College. And we are providing certificates and degrees for people who want to actually fix boats. Is our primary charge. So on the next slide there, Joe, we've got One Ocean sitting in the backyard. And as Tess said, and the crew, we tore this boat apart. And so somebody needs to be able to fix and repair and put in systems and do all sorts of things to these boats so that we can go out and do science, so that we can go out and explore and cross oceans and do things like that. And so we really did take this boat completely apart. And what does that look like? Well, on the next slide, one of the jobs that you can do is become a mechanic. And, that involves everything from steering and fuel systems in the heart of the engine. Even though it's a sailboat, they got to get in and out of port. Our industry, there are tons of jobs where you just can get in and know all the things that a boat needs to be out on the water and to be safe. And so reliability, those kind of things. On the next slide, we've got things like electrical work. The system on the right is down below the feet of the team there on the boat. We've got big battery systems to provide all the energy for the Starlink connections and for the science that gets uploaded to the different universities, right? So we always need people to be marine electricians. And so one of my jobs at Skagit Valley College is to do that, to train electricians, to train mechanics. And in as little as 9 months, you can have a skill set that could either be an independent career or help you, as like Grace and Tess and stuff were sharing about being involved in communities on the water. It's a huge asset to you. So on the next slide, who all can benefit from this? Oh, there's our little water maker. I forgot we had that in there. Fun things like systems. On One Ocean, they pretty much take seawater and turn it into drinking water all the time, unless they're in port. So they're away from port a lot. And so we can actually, we need technicians that understand these systems. They're complicated, that can put them in, that can maintain them and fix them. And so that's just a big asset. So on the next slide here, we've got some careers, like who goes out and uses this skills that we teach here at the college. Well, boat builders and repair yards is a big part of it, but there are people who deliver boats around the world, right? There are deckhands, there are scientists. We're having these skills. If you know how a system works, how to do fuel filter work, or how to crank up an engine in an emergency, you're just a big asset to these expeditions. Marine surveyors work with the yacht brokers. Sometimes people, like, maybe you just want to sell boats. You want to be down in the water. You want to be involved. There's just a ton of pathways that you can do with these skills that we teach at the college. So here's a little screenshot with some contact information. If you wanted more information about anything with me, you can pause the YouTube video later on and you can reach out and get a hold of me. But I just love fixing things. I love being on board. I miss being on board with a team. We put that whole boat together, and touch wood, it's been doing what we designed for it to do. And I can't wait for them to get back and be on board and do more with it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Quinn. So everything we did at Marine Tech was kind of from the deck down. And
He fell asleep Newport
did the
on
stuff.
Instagram. He fell asleep Newport on Instagram.
So go ahead and go to the next one there, Joe. All right, Quinn.
So I'm Quinn Olson. I'm also from Nebraska, oddly or not oddly enough. I got into this, I became aware of sailing in the ocean because I was one of the kids sitting in a school in Nebraska when Mark came and gave a presentation about having gone around, and the waves were as big as the wall, because in those days we had slide projectors. So that's kind of when I first became aware of the ocean as something that was there, I guess. I was about 8, making Mark feel old here. So when I went to California for college at USC, they had a nautical science program, started learning how to sail, started learning how to take care of boats in that program, actually, here and there. Learned to splice 3-strand, learned to navigate, did a lot of things that prepared me to go help Mark run the Round Alone race, and that was in 97, 98. And then in 2002, I helped all 3 Americans that were in that race get ready for the race. So it was mostly doing grunt work, sanding boat bottoms, not things that are what's the word I'm looking for? Glory. Yeah, it was a lot of getting dirty, cleaning winches and making things work on the boats. The French have a word for guys like us. It's called préparateur, which just means one who prepares. And so moved to this neck of the woods, again, noticing a common theme. Mark had a Cal 40. We rebuilt that boat in his barn, and then I got hired by Northwest Rigging. So this is my shop. I bought it in 2019. There's a boat in front of it that we just got ready that's going to do the race to Alaska. Rigging really is everything from the deck up, including things that go through the deck, but basically what makes the sailboat part of it work. So the big green round thing in the bottom right-hand corner is how I put end fittings onto wires, which hold the mast up. And that's kind of just a general overview of our shop. You can keep scrolling through these. It's just some pictures of give you a feel for what we do every day. This is Seth on the right there. He's rinsed the loft part of my space and is doing canvas work. Made a bunch of bags for the One Ocean crew, among other things, which is kind of an overlooked. Canvas is also kind of an overlooked field in the marine industry, but there's a lot of canvas on boats. Keep going. So here's myself and my general manager with a bunch of wires we did. I don't remember what all that was. I think that might have been an architectural job, but a lot of cables, so we took a pic. But this is, I think, 2019 in that photo. So my end of things, really, I mean, I got fascinated in the nuts and the bolts in the boats, what makes them go, how to make them work better, how to make things easier for people who are offshore. You can keep flipping. So that's the splicing table in the back shop. So one of the things we do is put ends on ropes, and put rope on boats. An exam, just a display, and another that's more of my shop, and flip all the way through them if you like. And that's Laura, who took the marine tech program. She works in the front, and does a fair bit of our climbing, and my contact info. So I got into it because I really started enjoying the boats. At one point, I thought I wanted to do some long distance sailing, and I've done a fair bit of it. Nowhere near as much as Mark, but I've done enough to know what it's like, and I really enjoy it. But I also like hot showers, so I was looking for a way to be involved in these sorts of things and still be able to wake up every morning and on land. And I don't do probably as much sailing as I would prefer to, but still get a chance to do it a lot, and on boats every day. I mean, I've got 3 different boats I'm looking at today. So, and that's pretty average. So it's a way for me to be on the water, which I love and enjoy. In terms of being blue, I mean, my sort of environmental awakening, if you want to call it that, was getting back after doing the Transpac and the delivery home, and flew into Los Angeles. And I remember thinking, my God, we're locusts. And then I saw Ellen MacArthur give a TED talk after her round the world record. She came back and had a similar sort of feeling. Astronauts get it too, so I've heard. But really, that the Earth is our ship, and just as Mark is sailing around the Americas, the Earth is sailing through the galaxy. And if you don't take care of that ship you're on, it's not going to be around. So that's what I do every day on a metaphorical level. Things you can do in your life, and circular principles to be good stewards of this planet. It's something you can do every day in your personal life. Whether that's recycling or reusing things, or finding another way to use your rope scraps, making pillows and kids' toys, whatever that is, keeping stuff out of landfills, not polluting, cleaning up after yourself, really, which is a Midwestern concept if I've ever heard it. Clean up after yourself. So I'll let Mike slide back in here, but that's probably kick it over. Probably a pretty good way to introduce Sailors for the Sea, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
There she is.
Definitely is. Yeah, great lead in. Thanks so much. Just going to share my screen real quick. Okay, so yes, I am the director of Sailors for the Sea, and we are an ocean conservation organization that works with the sailing and boating community on ways they can be more environmentally responsible. My background took a kind of like they said, a different path to kind of figure out where I wanted to be when I grew up. But this is where I started. I started as a little kid in the state of Rhode Island in the United States, which is known as the ocean state. And I spent so much time on the water and was always really, interested in what in tide pools and exploring and just being, I always wore my bathing suit, even in the wintertime. I just really loved the oceans. And then when I went to undergrad at the University of Rhode Island, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. As an undergrad, I was in science, and kind of biology, like general science. And then I went into microbiology, and I really thought I wanted to do human health, like immunology and those type of things, and started applying to grad school. then I wasn't quite sure. And then I met a professor, Dr. Bethany Jenkins, who was at the University of Rhode Island, and she got me into environmental microbiology. So a lot of what I studied was bacteria, things that you can't see in marine sediments. And we would take samples all over the coast and analyze things and understand humans' influence on those sediments. So it was really interesting to see the ties of, like, as we're adding more, nutrients to the water, which is depleting oxygen, how does that impact the tiny little bacteria that also cycle major things in our oceans and are really important? How does increase in temperature impact, microbes and things like that? And so I spent a lot of time studying that we do have an influence on these little tiny microbes. Spent a lot of time on the water. And I loved the field side. I did a lot of time in the lab, analyzing DNA from different bacteria, figuring out who they were related to. And during this time, my professor, she gave me the opportunity to also do a lot of outreach, which I loved. So I got to take, the hard science that I was doing and translate it to kids. So here's a couple of examples. We were extracting DNA from different fruits and being DNA detectives. And I saw the kids really light up and really want to get into the science. And so I kept doing a lot of different outreach activities throughout my PhD career, and realized that I think this is the road that I want to go. I really liked the research. Next step would have been doing a postdoc somewhere, but I was more passionate about outreach and educating and really bridging that gap. I think sometimes scientists are so stuck in their research, and then that science never gets out to the public. So I really wanted to kind of bridge that gap of, like, this hard science and get it to the public so that they want to care, they want to do something about it. And that's what I decided to do. So after I finished my PhD, I jumped on the Hudson River sloop Clearwater and just did all types of education. And I had never been on the Hudson River before and realized how special it was. And we were educating hundreds and hundreds of kids all up and down the Hudson River about what's happening in their backyard, from what animals and creatures live there to the impacts humans have had and continue to have, and things that we've done to really make a difference. I remember one story that they could tell what color they were painting cars because of what color the river was, because they were just washing the paint right into the river, and how we've made a lot of different changes to prevent that from happening. And it was such a special time living on a boat, being with all these kids, but I knew that I couldn't do that forever, and wanted to, be more on land. So after that, I worked for an organization called the Block Island Maritime Institute, which is a tiny island off of Rhode Island. I got sucked back into Rhode Island and really developed educational programs for kids. So kids that lived on the island, kids that were visiting the island, and again, discovering what's in their backyard, and then really helping kids understand what the importance of protecting what's out there. We did all kinds of activities, but it's a very touristy island. So I had a lot of work during summer, and then the winters were really quiet. And I felt like I, as a person, needed to have a bigger impact than just what was happening on the island there. So that's when 11 years ago, I joined Sailors for the Sea as their education director. So I brought a lot of the learnings I had from the other organizations and developed all these different activities for kids to learn about our oceans. And then I also, worked, how do we garner the sailing and boating community, people who are on the water and they see the issues, and kind of give them resources to make a difference for their oceans. So about 8 years ago, our organization, Sailors for the Sea, joined forces with Oceana, which is the largest international ocean conservation organization in the world. And we do a lot more advocacy work. So we give people opportunities to take action on, for example, if there's a plastic bag ban happening, we tell people about it so that they can share their voices. And so we really work with people who are on the water, whether it's freshwater, saltwater, and really gather their support to help make a difference in, I feel like, really making impact now. And we work with people all over the world. We have a kids education program called KELP. We have a sustainability certification program to help events reduce their impacts, to lower single-use plastics and their carbon footprint. We have a program just for boaters called the Green Boating Guide, which gives individual boaters tips on what they can do, in their own lives, on their own boats, to really make a difference. And I'm so excited to be a part of this organization and work with people like yourselves here, and really continue making an impact. And the reason I love ocean conservation, and it's because I think, going back to my kids, I want to have my kids have a healthy ocean for the future generations. So I think that, as a kid, I love the ocean, my kids love the ocean, and I want to help gather support to help continue to protect our oceans for years to come.
Mark. Wow, very much, Shelley. Thank you very much, Mike and Quinn. This has been an exceptional class. I really appreciate it. Oh, and there's Mark, and thank you, Grace and Tess and Mark. We really appreciate it.
All right, we've got the whole team back in here. Thanks for those great presentations. That's a huge variety of blue ocean careers, and really we just scratched the surface, so students can go out and do some research and explore all the different careers. I wouldn't be surprised if 5-10 years from now there's a whole new selection of blue ocean careers to choose from as technology changes, things improve, lots of conservation opportunities. So yeah, very cool.
Well, actually, that is true, especially, if kids are gamers out there and, you're using the game controls, the ROV industry and the drone industry is just growing massively right now. So, you know what, if you're a gamer, the best game in the world is saving the ocean. So you could be putting that to use right there. Yeah, but that is a huge growing industry right now.
All right. Well, let's use the rest of the time we have together for some Q&A action. Those tuning in, don't be shy to use the chat. But we'll start. We have our 4B crew hanging out in Charleston. So I know they've been following you all throughout the day.
They need to be prepared. We're going to drop a buoy for them when we go around Cape Horn in the next couple of weeks. So we'll do that as a live event on YouTube. So we're dedicating it to that school because they've been following us this whole journey. So thank you, guys.
All right. So Tess, they've directed this first question to you. You mentioned Bellingham, and they're wondering what do you think the biggest environmental issue is facing the Salish Sea right now?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not exactly sure if I can answer that directly, but I think a big issue always is CO2 emissions is a huge one. So just being wary, use public transit. I know Bellingham has pretty good public transit, so make use of that. That's always something you can do. And runoff.
Yeah.
And climate change. There's a couple problems.
Okay. Well, let's keep going right down the Q&A action. Quinn, I've got a student here who says your shop looks like it has some maybe machines that could be dangerous. Is your job dangerous working with the rigging and such?
It can be. We do climbing up masts and we pull masts with cranes. So danger mitigation and risk mitigation is something I'm always practicing. Just walking around the docks can be dangerous if you're not paying attention. So anytime you're on a boat, there is an element of risk, and part of my job is trying to absolutely minimize those risks. So making sure that when they're out sailing on one ocean, that masts don't come down, that ropes don't break, that booms don't break, that you don't have adventures, you have expeditions. So that's risk mitigation is something I'm constantly thinking about. So yeah, we do some dangerous stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And Mike, you were obviously on board the ship for an extended period of time. So the question here is about the kind of challenging thing you had to sort out on the fly.
When things don't work, we did have one inverter that conked out. And so part of the thing with even risk mitigation, as Quinn was saying, is, redundancy. We relied on electricity, so we had 3 different sources. And so on the fly, when one part goes down, it comes up. But I think a bigger part of on the fly was not relying just on me. Being an educator, it was training the whole team. So when I'm not there, the mission continues. And that whole team that's still on the boat, they're amazing individuals, and they all paid attention, and they know a whole lot of it. So it's super fun to be involved at that level, and to share our knowledge so you can fix things.
Okay. Shelly, there's a class in Kansas. They're saying they're very landlocked. So what advice do you have for them if they want to be more involved in ocean conservation or, doing something from somewhere far away?
That's a great question. Everywhere you live, you are connected to the ocean, whether it's, the freshwater you are on that ends up in the ocean. The air you breathe, half of that, every other breath comes from the ocean. So you are just connected to it no matter where you live on the planet. And there's things that you can do every day, like Tess was saying, using public transportation so that we're not adding CO2 to the atmosphere, because climate change is a real threat to our oceans and to our planet. Can you use less plastic so it won't end up in the landfill or in your fresh water that could end up in the ocean? There's things that you can do every day or inspire others. I think that's one of my favorite things for kids is they're so inspirational. They are so smart. You guys are so smart, and you can help educate others about, what the importance is. So you can be a really good advocate and voice for our oceans. And just, think about your behaviors and how you can educate others.
All right. Great, Shelly. Thank you very much. I'm going to go to our team out in that sunny weather. The first thing I have here is it looks like you're pretty deep in the fjord. So what's it like? Is it challenging to navigate through those fjords?
Well, it is.
Yes.
It is. I was just looking at the list of channels and points and capes that we've had to go around in this 3,000-mile part of the journey, and it's 4 pages long. The Chilean Navy controls the waterways here, and they want you to phone in and let them know where you are, because if you need help, they've got to come and try and find you, and they don't want you to need help. So it is challenging. Currents, wind, other ships, and some of these channels are very small, but there's also a lot of history here. There were ships and boats in these channels in the 1600s. And so it's pretty interesting to watch and look at some of the place names. People have been using these to commute for a long time. Absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so is sailing possible, or is it all motor in tight spaces?
Oh, we sailed.
Yeah, we sailed. Sailing is possible. The wind in a north-south channel, typically the wind is north or south, and we can run with it or beat into it. So we've been pretty fortunate. We've been able to sail a fair amount.
Yeah, we had to hide out yesterday. There was a big storm going against us. So we hid away in a beautiful little bay, and there's a lot of dolphins and South American sea lions jumping around the boat. But we hid away on that one because it was a big storm. Down here, we're so far down south now, the storms come in quite often. We're fairly protected in some of these channels, but the wind can just really funnel down as well, and if you're going against it, it's not fun. So
All right, so Grace, there's a question in the chat about your plastic squares. I think they're thinking about the kelp with the camera that you're dropping into the water. So have you had a chance to make any deployments yet since you've been back on board?
No, not yet, but we're getting it built up. I'm going to start training the crew, and hopefully very soon. So hopefully we'll have some new imagery to share from those plastic squares.
Yeah, the plastic squares, maybe today or tomorrow. We've been seeing an enormous amount of beautiful bullwhip kelp that's massive here, and giant kelp too. It's just incredible.
All right, we're expecting fresh video for next time, our next connection in April. So let's see what happens. Quinn, let's go back your way. What's the most challenging rigging project you've had to work on?
One Ocean?
Not by a long shot. Wow. A lot of them have been challenging. It'd be hard to pick out just one. What tends to happen is I remember all the things that have the ones that were I learned lessons. I remember the educational opportunities. So, I mean, certainly anytime you're on a time crunch, it can be challenging because there's a lot of things that you don't control, for starters. So it used to be I would say it used to be a lot more challenging when I was in the beginning stage of my career and learning a lot more of those lessons the hard way. Now it's really, I think I'm more along with Mike. I mean, it's a lot of my job now is educating, and is making sure my crew knows what to do and how not to make the mistakes I made, and patience is challenging.
I think, Quinn, and what most people don't realize is how much the boat is moving. It's in constant motion. And when something's in constant motion, you think about this. I don't know what month we're in here or how many miles. It's for 13,000 miles. The wear and tear on, even if you do your job perfectly, there's so much movement, so much motion all the time, whether it's mechanical or rigging. You've done a great job with this. Yeah. I mean, you need to inspect things as you go because things keep way up, and you just have to plan for that. Yeah. So, in all phases, maybe I'm wearing out.
All right, Shelley, I'm going to jump your way now. Students often hear, bad news stories, things that are happening, climate changing, biodiversity loss, plastic in our ocean. But it's important to share, good news stories of hope, and stories of students doing things. I think sometimes students think I'm too young to have an impact. I have to wait till I'm older. So do you have an example, like a story, a student, even just an individual, something that's kind of inspired you through the course of the work you've been doing?
That's a really great question. I've had many students inspire me. I think locally, there was a student who started a composting program at their school, which is impressive. That's a huge undertaking. And it's not easy for, systems like that to change. It's a big process, but they were convincing. They said the reason why composting was important. They spent time, I think they wrote up how it would happen, like what that would look like, and presented to the school, or was able to really make that shift. And that's huge. That's what I said. I think kids are so inspiring. Even just like a little thing at some events that we've been to, we had kids that were part of our green team, the green team are the people that are focused on the sustainability initiatives. So they were helping the adults sort things so that adults were actually paying attention instead of dumping things in the wrong bins. The adults were like, oh, these kids are taking charge. I should probably be paying attention to what I'm doing. So, I think you have a lot more power than you may think that you do. We've seen kids write letters to their representatives to say, "Hey, I don't want plastics in my town anymore," and have seen that those shifts change. So you have a lot more power than you think you do, and just keep at it.
All right, awesome.
Can I make a little note on the plastics? We have witnessed plastics on our journey, but in the expedition Mark did in 2009 and 10, they witnessed a lot of plastics, especially in some countries. One of them was Peru, for instance. But what we've noticed is that a lot of these countries have really done a great job of starting to clean up their beaches, clean up the plastics. We'd love to see less plastics being sold in grocery stores and things like that, but they have done a great job. And for instance, there's this high seas treaty, and Chile here is part of that. And they're doing a really beautiful job with their beaches. And we haven't seen barely anything in the waters here at all. It's just been really wonderful to see how that they've come together. And there's a lot of countries from North and South America that have joined this high seas treaty to help clean up plastics and clear the oceans up. So that's been really fantastic to see. I know Canada is in the process of signing, and we just need to keep pushing and having our voices heard so that we can all work together to keep this beautiful ocean clean.
Okay. Mike, I'm coming your way. Drones were mentioned, ROVs were mentioned as important tech. So where do you see changes in shipbuilding or new technology kind of coming in?
Well, there's a lot of of technology obviously happening in our world for hybrid boats, right? And more electric propulsion, more clean energy that are used. And even, and then related to those ROVs, they're all battery powered, but being able to not have humans, go down and do a lot of the research. So the underwater, we can get so much more data, and we can do it in worse weather conditions and stuff like that. Drones for inspections, even of boats, going up to the top of the mast. And when we were in the Northwest Passage, trying to find leads in ice, like the technology is really helping our industry a lot, I think, to those sort of things. So yeah, the electric propulsion and hybrid boats is a huge passion of mine. So.
All right.
I would add there's, the bleeding edge of sailing these days is just gone nuts. They're putting foils on 70, 80 foot, 90 foot boats and going really fast. And that is the tip of the iceberg. I think as the tech gets better and as our building techniques and materials continue to get better, and as we find ways to be sustainable about using those materials, you're going to see some huge changes in the shipping industry. It's already starting to happen.
It's happening. They're taking that foil technology on ferries and stuff, right?
Reducing so ferries on foils, sails, big deal. Kites on big container ships. You're seeing it already happening. And we're building now 120 foot fully foiling trimorans that are capable of sustained crossings at averaging 30 plus knots. You triple that, and now you can start competing with shipping. So it's where it's going. I think it's going to be coming sooner rather than later, but a lot of that is how hard we push it and how many people we can get out there creating these things.
All right. Jennifer, is your phone still handy? Because I feel like we haven't really gotten a chance to take in where you are right now on this
beautiful
clear day.
Yes. I shall take you on a tour then. You won't be able to hear me, but you'll be able to see. These guys can talk a little bit about Port Eden. Do you want to do that?
Okay. So her camera footage should be popping up. Yep, there it is. Nice. So that's our view around our boat right now where we are anchored.
And Port Eden 15 years ago was a pretty slow and a little bit of a depressed place because they didn't have a ferry that came here regularly. The fishing industry, the local fisheries had collapsed because of farmed fish. So people were without jobs, and it wasn't a very happy place. They knew they had to make some changes, and I haven't had an opportunity to talk to a local. We just got here, but in looking around, they now have a ferry dock. A ferry services this place, I think, twice a week. The houses look in pretty good shape. Some people have come out to say hi, and they look cheerful. The waterfront looks in much, much better shape than when we were here 15 years ago. They were not happy people 15 years ago. They were thinking their community was dying, and it looks like it's held together. And as somebody said, as Jen said, there's no evidence of plastic pollution anywhere that we've seen in this bay, and that's remarkable.
Yeah. I think another cool thing about this community is that there's a wooden boardwalk that goes all around the entire waterfront here and connects everybody. So that's pretty awesome to see.
No roads, but wooden
boardwalk.
Roads.
No. You can't get here that way.
Nope. Just travel by
boat
or
there's
foot.
A snow-capped mountain peak. I would guess that's about 3 miles away. It's probably most of the year pretty hard living. But
I show them Quinn's rigging.
Yeah.
You can tell them.
Well, you're looking at some Quinn's rigging here, and all of it is still in quite good shape, and it's been heavily used. You get a boat that's got this many miles on it, and we're just sort of halfway through the trip, maybe 2/3 of the way through the trip. There it is.
Pretty good. Very cool. Okay, let me get everybody back in here. Nice and full screen. There we go. Well, there we are. We are at that time. So I want to start out with a shout out to our classrooms. Thank you for sending in all those great questions today. To the classrooms who will tune into the recording, a shout out to you as well. Thanks for joining us. And to the Around the Americas crew and everybody else who helps make it possible, from the rigging to the engineering to the outreach. It's all such important work building that blue economy. So thank you for everybody for being here today and giving us that little crash course in blue ocean careers.
Thank you,
You're
Joe. And thank you to
Joe.
all our guests. We really appreciate you taking the time. So thank you very much, everyone, for all your wonderful questions, too.
It's great to see you all.
Yeah.
One more time, there's the website before we sign off today, oneisland1ocean.com. We will see you back here in April. And I guess the next challenge coming up is the horn. So I'm looking forward to hearing all about that, how that goes, the buoy deployment, the weather. Yeah, very
Thank
cool.
you, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you,
Appreciate
everyone.
it.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone. We're signing off for today.
All right.